Well, hello. Good morning. I'm a day late. Today's Thursday. It's not Wednesday. Turns out I had my follow-up visit for my foot yesterday, and it still hurts. I don't have to wear the big bandage anymore. I am allowed to get it wet, so it's doing better. And he said that it takes probably a good month before it'll stop hurting. I mean, it looks really bruised and especially under their lighting, which is so much better than mine, I could really see the bruising. So there's that. And that's why I'm late. So apologies. I'm here now. So this week, or the last few days, right now my toe is really throbbing. The last few days, I kind of struggled a little because there's things that I want to make, but like I didn't have a light purple in the like chenille basics or basics chenille brights. I can say it. Which is what I've been using a lot of lately. Ooh. Now my new colors that I ordered are due in sometime today. So I have to figure out where I'm going to put it all. But I am very skeptical if their purple is going to be what I need. So I went on Amazon. Well, first I checked all kinds of places online, of course, because there's nothing near me. And I couldn't find what I was looking for. So I went on Amazon and I came across 2 listings for Bernat Baby in a light purple. One of the listings was like $12.99, which is about typical if you're getting the yarn when it is not on sale. And the other listing was $7.99. And if you have Prime, that includes the shipping. I pay the outrageous price for Prime every year because there's nowhere to shop around me. So I thought about it for a good, several hours. And I was very skeptical about ordering it because my luck is that I usually end up with not very soft yarn in the Bernat variety when I order online. Unless I've used it before, then I know, okay, that particular color is okay to order. Well, this came a day early, and it is the perfect color. And I am pleasantly surprised at how soft it is. So this is going to work. But don't you know, because this came early, I had already started a big project, which is not finished yet, but it is on my hook. Shannon came out with another new dragon. And this one is freaking amazing looking. I have to do it. So I started it yesterday and I got the head completed, and I think I have like 10 or 12 rounds left on the body. And I got to where it was a good stopping point, and then I set it aside so that I can work on, other market things. And I can't wait to get it finished. It is amazing looking. So, what did I make this week? Kind of a hodgepodge of stuff. Let's see. What did I do? Because I still had all my colors on my desk that I was using to make the little Junimos. I finished up the last color. So we added this little violet colored Junimo to go with the others. And then I had also mentioned that I thought if I did that particular pattern out of Parfait Chunky, that it would be just the right size for a swing. So I tested it out. And I have this on a swing. Now I did not give it the arms and legs like this one has, because it is on the swing. For the arms, I just stitched around the rope of the swing to make it look like it's hanging on, and didn't give it any legs at all. But that is how tiny that it comes out with Parfait Chunky. Would also be a great size for a keychain. Just saying. So we made those first. And then, I don't know, like 3 or 4 of my crochet friends keep bugging me about making those jumping spiders. And I had bought All From Jade's Sabrina spider, I think it's called. And I made a few of those. They're not bad to make, you know. They're cool. They're kind of big, even out of Parfait Chunky. But none of them sold. But everybody swears that these jumping spiders sell. So I decided, all right, I'll try it. Let me see what it's about. So I made one. And it is so tiny. It is like very small. And this is the Bernat Dappled that I made my big chicken out of. And I just thought, that's a lot of work. Now, of course, this was my first one, so it's my slowest one. And, I don't know. So I was like, well, let me try it in a regular Bernat and see if I get any size out of it. Because this is a thinner, more like the Chenille Bright's thickness. So I'm looking at what I have in Bernat, which is not a lot, that I could use that would be spider color. So, didn't really have anything. So I used that same tweed color that I did some of my roosters out of and made this one. And it is definitely bigger. The only sewing on it is sewing this back part of the body onto the head part of the body. I don't know. I'm not sure if I like it. I'd have to try and do a few more. But I don't want to do a lot because I don't know if they will sell. And in my opinion, it's too much work for this size. I just don't think in my area you could ask more than like $5 for this. And it took me too long to just have a $5 price on it. And it just could be because I'm not a spider fan. I mean, I don't know what to say. So we made those. And then I'm sitting there wondering yet again, what am I going to make? There's a lot of things I should be making, but what do I want to make? So Heather from Cottontail Crafts by Heather, she showed where she used Stacy's sitting bird pattern to make a crow. And hers turned out so cool. Well, I tried one. Mine does not look as cool as hers does because I don't have the right eyes to use. I need to place an eye order. But at the same time, I don't want to. So this is my little crow, and he just needs different eyes. Now, these eyes, I like these. They're like the laser etched or whatever eyes. You don't have to put a disc on it. The color is already on it. But I've only been able to find it in an assorted package. And then you get all these sizes that you don't need. I need to be able to buy like 16 millimeter or 18 millimeter or 20 millimeter, just one size, and go from there. And then I don't have to sit there and try and figure out what back goes to it. But yeah, so I did the crow. Seagull pattern, I think I used. The seagull is the one that has the little tail feathers on it. And yeah, he's not bad, but he's not as cute as Heather's. So I made that. And then I was like, you know what? I haven't made a bee in so long. But I'm not a fan of the little bullet-shaped ordinary bee that everybody makes. Which is kind of why I haven't been making them. I had bought this bee pattern back in the beginning of my plushie journey. And I'd only made it one time. And I came across that little plush, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And I thought, oh, I could take this to market, until I picked it up and saw, there's not very much stuffing in this. I didn't do a very good job at stuffing. There's a few of them from back then that are like that. So I pulled out the pattern and I started to make it. And this time I followed the color scheme that was in the pattern. I did not, however, end up using the same wings that they used, because, I mean, I used like half of their wings. So this is the little bee. And originally the wings, you made 4 of these, and they kind of formed an X on its back, and it just like swallowed up the whole bee. And then I showed it to Mary, and I'm like, I don't think I like these wings. So she pulls up pictures of bees, and she's like, bees only have 2 wings. So she helped me decide to only do the 2 wings. And this pattern is by Shield Maiden, and it's on Etsy. I paid a whopping $1 for the pattern. But what I like about it is it's got like that little hourglass shape. So it has a head. Then it comes out with a bulbous body. It has the antenna. It has little legs. And then, of course, I like my version of the wings better. So by the time I got to this, I'm like, my foot is swelling. My leg is swelling. And when it swells, it makes it hurt more. So I relocated myself to the living room, put a pillow on the coffee table, propped my foot up on the pillows, and I'm like sinking down into the couch. So I found it a little harder to be able to crochet because I wasn't in my comfort zone. I wasn't in my natural habitat. So out there, I made another. And it took me a while. And I was covered with fluff because this is Sweet Snuggles Light and Home Slim. And it's been a minute since I was working with it because I was doing all these other things out of the Brights and Bernat Baby and some Parfait Chunky. And that just was kind of, it was just kind of like, I don't want to use that. I need that for this thing. And so I was like not wanting to touch it. But we touched it. And I was covered. Absolutely covered with fluff. There was fluff everywhere. And I forgot how awful it was to sew with it. So I made 2. This one had blue eyes. It was the only blue eye that I had in these eyes. And this got more of a orange, I guess you would call that. So 2 in this color. Then I was like, you know what? Let me just do a black and yellow one. So we did a black and yellow. And I was trying to decide, do I want to do the white wings? I mean, I don't know. I went with a gray. I did it the light gray on this because it was gray and mustard. And then on this one, I just stuck with the light gray. So, of course, getting everything to stand up properly. It's just wild. And oh my gosh, there's just so much shed. So we'd have that one. And again, the orange eyes, because I didn't have any other color. So in one day, I made 3 bees and I think the 2 spiders. So the next morning when I got up, I started off out in the living room in the mess I left from the night before. And I decided to do one more bee, but I'm like, you know what? Let's get fancy with the colors. So I did. I did this in terracotta and coral, peach. I don't know. Those 2 colors that they have are very similar. And to me, they look exactly the same, but they call them something different. But I kind of like this color together. Now, I know it's not the traditional bee, but, you know, dare to be different. So we crocheted a small swarm of bees. Ooh, I can't believe I balanced that. So we have 4 bees. Whoops. I need to break out my shelf and see how many. Probably 6 would fit in one of those little shelves. But I don't know if I want to sit and make 3 more, especially when I don't know if they're going to sell. So then I'm chatting with Mary, and she's like, oh, I need to make some of your scrappy turtles. And I'm like, you know what? I need to make some too, because I don't have any. So usually I do my scraps of Parfait Chunky, and I don't know, they come out really small, like the shells might be this big around. But this time I was like, I'm getting some scraps on the brights because I've been using the brights so much lately. So let me do some scrappy turtles out of the brights. So I started with this one, and usually I just stitch the eyes on because the other ones, like, they're so small they fit in the palm of a small child's hands. So I would just embroider a little eye on them instead of using a safety eye. So that's how I started with this one. I embroidered the eye. And, I mean, it's a decent size. I probably wouldn't call it a $10 turtle, but it's definitely not a $5 turtle. So I said, let's move on to another color. And I'm sitting there making this and getting text messages and set it down and reply to text messages and go back to it and set it down and then reply to a text message. Well, this one came out just a little bit bigger. I think, we'll compare it to this one, I think I added an extra round in the shell. I deliberately added an extra round into the head. Same on this one, but instead of starting with 6, I started with 8 and went to 16. And then I just decreased back down to my 8, and when I sewed it together, I still had the 4 stitches required for attaching it. So they are a little front heavy, so I have to like mush them around to get them to sit. But I tried using the little cartoon eyes on it because that pack I bought came with the cartoon eyes, these small sizes. It was 3 different sizes. And I hadn't figured out what I wanted to use these little eyes on. So I said, let's try it on the turtle. Then I made one more. And this one is pretty bright. It lives up to the bright's name. And as you can see, this one, the shell is definitely taller. So I made 3 turtles, and then I got bored with turtles. Like, there's so many choices, you know. So, as you guys know, I bought a whole bunch, well, 8 patterns without ever trying the designer's patterns before because they were on sale. And I thought they were just the cutest things. And 6 of those ended up being loveys, which I thought were actual plushies, because the listing did not say it was a Lovey or a Snuggler or any other term that would qualify them as a non-stuffed plush. Well, two of the patterns, one was the Kuromi doll, and the other one, I think it's just an actual creation of the designer, and it's not a character. It's called Freya, the Alien Fox. So I braved it, and I tried her pattern for this, and it was better. Kind of. It was missing some pictures, but if the written instruction is written well enough, you don't necessarily need the picture, unless it's like you just don't get it, what they're saying. So pictures are nice, but it was way better than the Kuromi doll for instruction. Now, I did have to change a couple of things. Very minor. So when you do these little antennas, it says to just start crocheting with the fur. And yeah, that wasn't working for me. So what I did is I went ahead and started with the yellow and did back loop only for those few rounds that were supposed to have the fur. And then I went in and crocheted on top through the front loops. So that made that easier for me. This is an interesting little creature. It's different. Like I said, I think it's just like their creation and not a character, because when I Googled it, I found nothing. It just came right back to this pattern. So it gets a long furry tail. Now, it did not have any instruction for where to attach the tail. It had you make the tail, but then it never said anything anywhere about sewing the tail. So I just guessed. I probably should have come up a little bit higher. I'm not sure. But I mean, it's cute. I did yellow because the pattern called for yellow. I think it would be much cuter in different colors. But this is Pebbles Crochet. And like I said, I think it's her own creation and not a character, because I have not been able to find information on it. So we did that. And because that pretty much worked out for me, I went in and I looked at the other 5 of the patterns that would be Levies or Snugglers, whatever you want to call them, and picked out the easiest one. And by easiest, I mean the least amount of parts, the smaller parts or what have you, so that I could experiment with it and figure out how to do the body and attach the legs and stuff so that it will sit and be a plush and not a Lovey / Snuggler. So the one that was the easiest was Mew, and I think I did pretty good. So for the body, I did 1 expansion round wider, and because of it being a Snuggler, the body was done in her pattern in half double crochet. I did mine in single. So for every 2 rounds, once we started going up, for every 2 rounds of half double crochet, I did 3 rounds of single crochet to, build the height. And I think it worked out pretty good. To get the legs, I made these little thighs so that I could attach the leg to it and it not look awkward. Has a very long tail, but it's a cat. So yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. Now, to really make it look like Mew, you need to use different eyes. You got to use the felt. But I don't have I do now. I didn't have the colors to do it. And this one actually had more instruction in it than the Leafy On that I did the first one. This had a lot more instruction in it. So that was very helpful. But in the tester photos, a lot of people used the big eyes like this. So I felt, okay, I can do that. You know, instead of, oh, here I've made this. Now I got to wait for my felt to show up to be able to finish it. And, you know, I want to go from start to finish. Other than that dragon I started yesterday. So, we have Mew. And I think she turned out pretty good. Or he. I don't know. Is Mew a he or a she? It's pink, so I'm thinking she. But hey, dudes like pink too. So we did that. And while I was working on my dragon yesterday, I was, you know, every now and then you take a break, stretch your fingers, get up, move around a little bit. I was scrolling through Instagram, and Marcia from Mimi Makes Keepsakes posted the absolute cutest bunny. I mean, just adorable, kind of ragdoll style. And I was like, oh. So I commented and I told her how cute I thought they were. So she told me they were an Oak and Marlow pattern, and they're really easy to do. That she's made a lot of them. Well, easy for one person is different from easy for another person. So I went to look at it, and I don't know, it was like a $6 price tag, so I was debating, and I waited and waited and waited. And then I went and I looked again, and they had this little ballerina mouse, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I tried my little trick of adding to cart and favoring them to see if I could get a coupon, and no coupon. Bummer. Well, God, darn it. Someone's going to have to get me some intervention because I bought the patterns. And I really liked the little ballerina mouse. So I started with that. I don't think my first one came out very good. It says to use Bernat blanket. I used Chenille Brights. There's face shaping involved, but I think the head is a little too small. I mean, it's only 20 stitches around to really do face shaping. So my mouse doesn't look too hot. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the ears off, remake the ears and raise them up, and undo the face shaping and just like give it a nose. That's probably the best I can do with this one to save it. But here's the mouse. It does not look like a mouse. It said to attach the ears at round 6 of the head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is here. But where I messed up is I should have, as attaching, I should have gone more towards the top of the head. I went down. So now it looks kind of more like bear ears. It needs to be up, you know, up here. And then the tutu part of it is made separate. And you got to make these long strings and tie them on. So I wasn't a fan of that part. But I'm like, it's a lot of work for as small as it is, for what it is. I mean, at least the first time I felt like it was a lot of work. So I tried it again. I picked some different colors. And because I made it the first time, I thought, well, what can I do to make this a little easier on myself? So when it came for the tutu, the third round of the body, well, on the fourth round, that's the fourth round is when it starts to decrease to give it that shape. I did back loop only into the third round, and that's where I decided I'm going to attach the tutu and attach the tutu later. So, hi, Toby. You got one of my plushie parts. Well, come here. Come up and say hi. He stole a part. Oh. Anyways, as you can see, I got the ears up higher. And instead of doing the face shaping, I just gave it a little safety nose because I had those on hand. I think it looks a little better. Yeah, maybe third time will be the charm. Really cute how they do the little ballet slippers. Now, I did do one thing to that it did not call for, is you wrap this part here when you're making the X around twice. Once I got the whole X part of it completed, I came back up and did a little stitch over the top of that strap so that it wouldn't come undone and, you know, get messed up. Just to hold it in place. So I did that little change. I did the little change with the tutu, and I ignored the face shaping. So I'm going to try and fix this one. I don't know if it'll work. If not, maybe Toby's going to have a little mouse friend. We'll see. But that is what I have done. And some of this you wouldn't have to see if I didn't have a doctor's appointment yesterday. You'd be waiting till Sunday to see it. So I had an extra day to work. But anyhow, sorry I'm a day late, but I'm here. I am here. That is it. I am going to try and make some space for my yarn that's coming in and get to work on my dragon, do a little more of that. I really want to use my new purple that I ordered specifically for a special project. I really want to use that, but I don't want to have two big projects going at the same time. So I need to finish my dragon. So Sunday's video might just be, here's my dragon. You never know. All right, you guys, I will see you next time in the next video.